The Internet Security Alliance comes to the cybersecurity field with great concern. We felt that we needed to have a better appreciation of the extent of the threats, and that would require a rethinking of cybersecurity. So ISA wrote a book called Fixing Cybersecurity, but of course it takes a long time to get a book published. So that's why we reached out to 1631, because what we wanted to do was take the messaging in that book, which was fairly detailed, and we wanted to get it out in a more accessible form, such as blogs and tweets and stuff. And we knew that 1631 could help us generate the audience, the targeted audience, that we would need for that kind of effort.
We looked at a number of targeting and retargeting strategies that were based on some pretty unique strategy campaigns. One was traditional programmatic that we moved into very proximity-driven tactics, including geofencing of the most important buildings in Washington, D.C., as well as industry-specific think tanks, associations, things of that nature.
We targeted all the major buildings on Capitol Hill. On the Senate side, Hart, Dirksen, and Russell. And on the House side, we targeted Cannon, Longworth, and Rayburn. We also targeted the Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, practically the entire policy community in Washington.
We followed up with a huge social media campaign that was an omni-channel approach on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We looked at starting organic conversations within and scaled that using artificial intelligence that really mapped out a blueprint for us to follow for all of our campaigns. Once we found the right audience within that, we were able to then maximize those results by bringing it to a gigantic universe of data and rinsing and repeating that data so that we can get thousands of people to sign up.
Over the course of the entire program, we produced several hundred blogs. Tended to run 2 or 3 a week for about 7 months or so. And the impact of the blogs was really striking. Within a couple of months, we had the chairman of the House Homeland Security Committee blending in the term, we need to rethink cybersecurity, into her opening statements at committee hearings. We had the chairman of the Senate Foreign Cybersecurity Committee saying the same thing. We had the chairman of the subcommittee of the cybersecurity of the House Homeland Security Committee saying the same thing. We had the director of CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency at DHS, saying the same thing. We had it being picked up all over the press. We even had major international conferences focused on Rethink Cybersecurity. They adopted that as the theme. So the program was incredibly effective in terms of getting people to understand that we need to have a different approach to cybersecurity. And then under that, we had a great deal of substantive material in the blogs.
Multiple times a day, we were looking at sort of the blog performance back and forth and how it was interacting with our target audience.
Within 6 months, we had the Department of Homeland Security establishing their first ever strategic initiative on cybersecurity and adopting many of the issues that we had in our blogs as part of that.
The second part of the campaign was to actually increase the awareness and change the narrative of the association, and being able to position the ISA as a leader in cybersecurity and pushing that to decision makers on Capitol Hill and decision makers within the industry.
There was this immensely unique letter co-written by the chairs of 7 different congressional committees who have responsibility for cybersecurity and their Republican ranking members. So this was a bipartisan letter on cybersecurity written to Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, and the letter specifically stated, we need to begin to stress, quote, stress that cybersecurity is not just an IT issue, but an economic issue with national security implications. These are the essential messages of the blogs that came underneath that Rethink Cybersecurity umbrella.
From that, we were able to see responses in pending legislation, in speeches and conversations across, official Washington, D.C.
We were able to get very important legislation folded into the COVID relief bill, folded into the appropriations bill to, for example, tremendously increase the amount of money going for workforce development in cybersecurity, increase the amount of money that's going to law enforcement in cybersecurity, begin to change the way our law enforcement structures are organized to make them more digitally sensitive than they were previously. So all of this stuff actually wound up having specific legislative activity that resulted from it.
All in, we delivered 1.5 million messages to this group. We were able to see a very high click-through rate that was about 5 times the national average, and the conversion rate was 2 times the national average.
As an important byproduct of this, the work that 1631 did enabled us to generate a far larger database. We reached 50,000 different people, nearly 30,000 which have signed up to stay with ISA and follow us as we've continued moving forward.
We're very happy with the success of the campaign. The feedback that we got from ISA and their board was very, very positive.
Yeah, we're delighted with the success of the overall campaign. It's hard for me to think about how the campaign could have been any more successful. We absolutely exceeded all expectations with regard to this campaign.